what kind of things at the movies would you watch?
I can't remember now, dear. Honestly, and you asked me what was the best movie. I have no idea what the best movie was. It all seems so vague now.
What about your favorite books?
Yes, I thought about that, and I thought, first of all, gleanings from the writings of the Howler, and then I thought of War and Peace, and then I thought of Pride and Prejudice.
Well, those are three good choices.
Yes.
Great. And I've got here 3 favorite songs. Were there any songs or melodies that...
No, I can't think of any special melodies. Can't think. Okay. I tried to think, but I couldn't think of any special melodies.
And so, Granny, if you won $1 million, what would you spend it on?
Well, first of all, I'd find out if any of my children were desperately in need, you know, if they had things to pay off, and then all the rest I'd give to the World Centre. I'd give it away to the World Centre because they need money. I wouldn't keep it myself.
Great. And I've got here, if you could witness any event, past, present or future, what would that event be?
Yes, I thought about that. I think I'd like to meet the Howler and Abdul-Baha meeting each other. When Abdul-Baha used to walk from Akka across to Baji, and the Howler's father called him the Master, and he'd go out and meet him. I'd like to see them meeting each other.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Yes.
And if you could learn to do anything, what would it be? So if you could have a chance to learn something new...
Oh, I'd like to learn to play the piano. I'm really sorry, I never had any musical education. We never had a piano on the farm, and I didn't have any musical education. I'd like to learn music. Learn to play the piano.
And if you had to change your first name from Shirley to something else, what would you choose?
I don't know. I say Teresa. I rather like Teresa.
You like
T-H-E-R-E-S-A. Teresa. Teresa Smith goes quite well.
And when you have 30 minutes of free time, how do you pass the time?
I'm usually reading.
Reading.
Reading. I always read, yes. No, my eyes are very poor now. I can barely see. I can only just barely get my license to drive. If they get any worse, I won't be able to drive.
And how did you and Granddad meet?
We met on the, briefly on the Wanganilla when we were going across the Tasman Sea, and then we changed to the Orchids. We got to know each other on the Orchids.
And that was
we had a month sitting beside each other at a table. We got to know each other very well then.
Yeah. Can you remember some of the first conversations you and Granddad had? Do you remember something that he may have said that charmed you? Or?
Yes, I was going up the companionway to the the side of the ship to look at New Zealand disappearing in the distance. It was about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and Basil came back from the towards me, and he said, "Hello," or good evening. He always said good evening, and then he turned around and walked back with me to the what do you call that thing at the edge of the boat?
Like the rails. Like the railing, the rails of the boat?
Yes. And we stood there talking for a little while. We were just talking about New Zealand disappearing, I suppose. Yes. And then we got to know each other very well when we went on the Orchids, because my luggage wasn't in my cabin and I couldn't understand, and I met Basil and I said, "I'm worried about my luggage." So he helped me find it. He found a steward, and the steward went up to the upper class deck, and he found it was there. brought it down to us.
Wow. So
And then later Basil said, would you like to sit beside me, because I've got 3 married couples with me, and there's a spare seat. So I sat beside him.
that's it.
We got each other very well over the trip, and then at the end he asked me to marry him, and I said, well, I was going over to Europe, so I said, I'll go to Europe first for a month, and then when I come back we'll make up our minds.
Can you remember how he proposed?
No, I can't remember exactly. No, I can't.
So he didn't do
We used to go up to the first class at night and sit in the bow of the ship. There was no one there. They'd all gone to bed because they were all older people in the first class. And they'd all gone to bed, and we used to sit in the bow and see the waves coming in. Yes, that was lovely.
Quite romantic, Granny.
Yes, it was quite romantic.
I'd probably put that as one of the best times of your life, maybe?
Yes, that could be the best time. Yes, could be.
And one other question I've got is, how did you become a Baha'i?
Well, I heard about the Baha'i faith in 1950 from an American couple. They had been Russian Jews, or their parents had been Russian Jews, and they had left the Jewish faith and become Baha'is, and then they came pioneering to New Zealand. Well, I met them in Auckland, and they briefly told me about the Baha'i faith, not enough to attract me, really. And then when I came to live in Whangarei, there was a meeting about the Baha'i faith spoken by an Australian. And I said to Baz, I think I'd like to go and hear that man. So off I went, and I got to know the local Baha'is. There was 3 local Baha'is then. And then they kept in touch with me and taught me about the faith. And I was very, very attracted. But I couldn't make up my mind. Until my dear mother died. And then immediately I knew I wanted to be a Baha'i. Because there was nothing to comfort me in the Christian religion, the Church of England, to which I belonged in those days. And so the Baha'i faith meant so much, and so I became a Baha'i. It was 1970. It took me 20 years to be a Baha'i.
Wow. And I think there was a moment when your mother passed, like a special moment where you felt, moved to declare.
Well, she'd been buried a day or two, and I was looking out the window and feeling sad, and it suddenly came to me, you're free. Those words came to my mind, you're free. And I knew it meant I was free of the Anglican Church, and I was free of the Catholic Church to which Basil had been brought up. So I knew I was free to be a Baha'i.
Right.
So I rang up the Baha'i and said, I want to join you. They said, we've given you up. So they tried so hard to teach me, and I couldn't make up my mind.
Oh, that's a lovely story, Granny. And can you think of one of your favorite Baha'i quotes and why you like the quote?
Yes, I've got it here, but I don't know whether I can read it. Let's see if I can read it. Come over to the light a bit better. The supreme... It's from the tablets of the Baha'u'llah. The supreme cause for the creation of the world and all that is therein is, is to know God. I can't quite get it. Is to know God. Yes.
And what was it about that quote, Granny, that you liked?
Well, it sort of sums up the whole Baha'i faith, really. Supreme cause for the... Is it cause? It's that word. I've scribbled it and I can't even read it.
Okay. That's
It's
all
not
right.
cause, the supreme something. Isn't it awful? I can't believe it.
Well,
I'll
that's
have to
okay,
check.
Granny. I'll track it down. I'll search for a few keywords.
It's one of
and-
the tablets with the whole, yes, one of the tablets.
And do you have a quote, like a general quote from other sources that you quite enjoy?
Yes, do as you would be done by. Do as you would be done by.
And where is that from? Is that the Bible?
I don't know. Do as you would be done by.
Okay. And can you think of something that you've learned in the last week? Something new.
Yes, I learned I had to give $100 to my insurance company. The insurance that for me going over to America, because I had to go to the hospital in America, and also I had lost my passport. Remember, they'd given me someone else's passport.
Oh, that's right.
And so I had to pay. I learned that I had to pay $100 to them.
Gee, I thought the insurance company was supposed to pay for you, not you pay them.
I know, but apparently I have to pay them $100. I don't know why. They should give me quite a few hundred I'd have to pay. I'd have to pay a lot to the hospital in America. Very expensive.
And this is just another general question. What is the most important thing you have learnt in life?
Not to be afraid of death. I'm not the slightest bit afraid of dying, whereas when I was young, the thought of dying, I didn't like the thought of that. But now I look forward to it. I've learned not to be afraid of death.
And how did you get to that point? That's because there's a lot of people that death and the unknown is quite frightening.
Yes. I think from studying the writings. The writings keep saying that death is a joy, it's not to be feared, and gradually I came to realise that.
Oh. And I don't know if you've heard of a thing called the bucket list. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
And what's...
I think I'd like to go to China and to Russia. Bucket list.
So that's a few things. Those are the couple of things left on your bucket list, are they?
Well, we'll say they are. Yes.
And what would you like to be remembered for?
Oh, I'd like for people to think of me as intelligent and kind.
Oh yes, you're definitely those two qualities, Granny. Well, I think that's all the questions I have, actually. Was there anything else you wanted to say?
Be intelligent, to see China and Russia, not to be afraid of death. Pray, to play the piano. Yes, who do I want to see? You said, who do I want to see?
Oh yes, who do you want to see, yeah?
I said, my husband Basil, I'd like to see him again. Husband Basil. My husband. About it. That's about all, I think.
Well, that's lovely, Granny. Well, thank you very much for spending time chatting.
Thank you, dear.
What have you got planned for the rest of your day?
Well, I'll go for a walk. I try to walk about 2 kilometres a day, either up the road or down the road. And what else? And I'll do a lot of reading. I'll watch some television.
Yeah.
And I've got to do a bit of gardening too. There's a little bit of pruning to be done out in the garden. I'll go and do that.
Fantastic. Okay, Granny. Well, thanks again, and we'll be in touch.
Righto, love.
Okay.
Give my love to Chelsea.
Will do. Aloha.
Aloha.
Bye.
Uh-huh.